Dr. Stone is much better than Bill Nye the Science Guy. I know that's tough to hear because of nostalgia, especially since it was a guaranteed pass-on homework whenever your teacher played it in class. But when you actually compare the two, Dr. Stone just does a much better job of teaching science. That's why, in this video, I'm gonna compare the two shows and explain why Dr. Stone is the better way to learn about science. Before I get started, make sure to comment with your thoughts on Bill Nye and Dr. Stone. I'll pick my favorite and share it as comment of the week in the next video. This week's comment goes to Mark for sharing his thoughts on Takemichi. If you'd like more Dr. Stone and other manga discussions like this one, then make sure to subscribe and follow along with each week's video. Now for the purpose of this video, I've picked the Bill Nye episode on electricity, mainly as an excuse to talk about some of the funniest moments in Dr. Stone, but also because it's something that is covered a number of times throughout the show. Plus, I mean, come on, it's electricity. Kind of a big deal in science. It'd be like, oh, I don't know, discussing the Millennium Falcon and not mentioning how it can do the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. Haha, references. Anyway, let's look at the episode. After the intro we've all been brainwashed into memorizing, Bill asks what is electricity, and then defines it as the flow of electrons. So right away, we have the first difference between Bill Nye and Dr. Stone. Bill Nye starts with a general question. In this case, what is electricity? He then goes on to give a simple definition and follows that up with more in-depth explanations throughout the episode. And this makes sense when you consider that the goal of Bill Nye is to teach kids about certain scientific topics in fun and simple ways. But this isn't the goal in Dr. Stone. The goal of Dr. Stone is to use science to solve problems. Naturally, this means that Dr. Stone always starts with a problem. In this case, Ruri is sick and making her medicine requires the use of electricity. Obviously, the problem here is how the heck do you get electricity in the stone world? In this case, Senku and the team build magnets from scratch and then use those magnets to build a generator. So while Bill Nye starts with the general question of what is electricity, Dr. Stone starts with a specific problem and then uses that problem to introduce electricity and how it works. The reason why this even matters is because science doesn't start with questions. Well, technically, yes it does, because, you know, scientific process and whatnot, but that's not what I mean. What I mean is that those questions are guided by a desire to solve certain problems. Think of it this way. Senku isn't just studying petrification for fun. He's doing it because there's billions of people that have been turned to stone and he wants to turn them back. So the experiments he goes through are a response to a problem he's trying to solve. And this is true for almost every major scientific innovation. It's been a response to a certain problem that people didn't understand. As a result, Dr. Stone does a much better job of demonstrating the actual value of electricity than Bill Nye, because Bill Nye gives you electricity more as a concept. In this case, the flow of electrons. But Dr. Stone skips that and actually shows you how to generate electricity from scratch, and why people ever needed it in the first place. In fact, Dr. Stone does a great job of driving that second point home by supplementing inventions like boats and steam engines with iconic costumes that remind us how those inventions changed the course of history. So while Bill Nye just teaches the principles of science, Dr. Stone gives you just enough and even helps develop a better appreciation for certain inventions. And that actually brings us to the second difference between Bill Nye and Dr. Stone. Later in the episode, Bill Nye explains how hydroelectric power plants work. And, well, that's kind of it. He explains how water runs the generators, but then all he adds is how they generate a lot more electricity. Naturally, Dr. Stone offers a much better demonstration. When Senku explains how gears help run generators, Chrome has the idea to build a bunch of gears and have them run off a river. In this case, Chrome didn't really start with a problem. Instead, he started with an idea for a new application of something he already knew. Well, new to him anyway. Point being that we actually watch Chrome put this idea into practice. And this is the second difference between Bill Nye and Dr. Stone. While Bill Nye focuses on explaining broad concepts, Dr. Stone actually shows you how to put those ideas into practice. It's the classic wash on, wash off example. Odds are, if I just tell you how something works, you'll say, oh, cool, and then forget about it 5 minutes later. But if I just show you how to do something, or better yet, have you do it yourself, then you'll actually learn how to do it without really thinking about it. And that's exactly what happened with Chrome. Chrome takes the idea of gears and makes them even more efficient with his own idea. So rather than just explain what they do like in Bill Nye, Dr. Stone actually shows viewers how to put together a hydroelectric generator. At the same time, it teaches you the efficiency of using water to make electricity without the lecture. This means that Chrome's examples offer a different kind of lesson than Bill Nye. The Bill Nye episode gives you textbook knowledge, the kind of knowledge that would help you pass a quiz on generators. But Chrome gives you practical knowledge, the kind of knowledge that shows viewers how to actually make the generator. The same is true in the case of batteries. In the Bill Nye episode, Bill Nye explains how batteries are cans filled with electrolytes with a rod in the middle. Then he explains that the electrolytes allow the flow of electrons in batteries. And all of this would be perfect if I wanted to ask you how batteries work. But if I asked you how to make a battery, well, odds are you'd take a soda can, fill it with Gatorade, and stick a piece of metal in there. And while that might work out, that doesn't exactly yield the best battery. But that's not the case with Dr. Stone. In Dr. Stone, we watch Senku make a battery by filling it with glass boxes with sulfuric acid and sheets of lead connected by wires. Then we watch Gen make zinc carbon batteries as if he's making onigiri, which of course blessed us with that cute little song of his. Now, if I asked you how batteries work after these examples, you'd say that they allow you to store and direct electricity. Much simpler than Bill Nye, but fundamentally the same answer. But if I asked you how to make batteries, you'd just follow these steps from Dr. Stone. And for you naysayers out there, you can in fact buy the more rare items like sulfuric acid, which, not gonna lie, I had no idea you could even do. I also had no idea that sulfuric acid was a strong electrolyte, but when I did some extra homework, I found out that this is probably why Senku used it for the battery. So by following Senku, viewers will use a strong electrolyte without even knowing it. And this is the advantage to watching Dr. Stone. You might not understand everything that's going on, but you get a basic understanding of how things work. On top of that, you get the kind of practical knowledge that you're less likely to get from Bill Nye. Again, like I mentioned before, this is because Bill Nye and Dr. Stone have two different approaches to teaching science. Bill Nye is meant to explain scientific concepts in a way that even kids can understand. In the electricity episode, this is done by defining electricity and then explaining its many applications like batteries and generators. And that's great if you want to pass your next chemistry exam. But if you want to do the stuff yourself, it only gets you so far. But Dr. Stone is meant to show viewers how to actually use science. Because, as Dr. Stone makes very clear, you don't have to be a genius like Senku to replicate all of the experiments. By following each step for the generators and batteries, viewers learn how to actually build and use those things. Plus, by observing the problems that need to be solved and the value those inventions bring to the characters, viewers also come to develop a much better appreciation for those inventions. And this is exactly why Dr. Stone does a better job of teaching science than Bill Nye. Because science isn't just something you leave in the classroom. It's something that any person of any background can appreciate at a basic level and practice in their day-to-day lives. And that's it for this discussion. If you enjoyed this discussion, then make sure to like the video. Also make sure to follow me on Twitch, where I discuss Dr. Stone and other Shonen Jump manga every Sunday. And if you'd like more Dr. Stone and other manga discussions like this one, then make sure to subscribe and follow along with each week's video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to hear from you soon.